Will try to play all 9 today. He was thrown out yesterday. Our old pal Sean Dunston is in left. Will Clark is at first. Fernando Tatis kills the Cubs at Wrigley Field. Eric Davis playing in right. J.D. Drew is in center field. Edgar Renteria is the shortstop. Mike Matheny is hitting .600 against Cub pitching this year. And Darryl Kyle pitches and bats ninth against Kevin Tapani.
And the Cubs Pepsi defense today in the outfield: Rondell White, Damon Buford, Sammy Sosa left to right. Jeff Hewson down at third base again today. Ricky Gutierrez, Eric Young in the middle, and Mark Grace at first. Joe Girardi behind the plate, and Kevin Tapani on the mound. Tap of the record now of 8-8, but as we showed you in the pregame, fine record in his last 3 starts, and bounced back from that little knee problem he had last Friday in his previous outing, and looking very much forward to coming out here with the wind blowing in against the Cardinals this afternoon.
So Fernando Vina is set to go. So are we. We're glad you're with us here around the country and around the world on WGN from Chicago, Illinois. Dan Roan and Chip Carey, a big crowd on hand at Wrigley as the Cubs and Cardinals wrap up hostilities in this 3-game set. Vina 2 for 8 in the series. Cubs pinching at the corners with Hewson and Grace expecting a bunt, and Tapani pumps a quick strike. 1, says Brian Gorman. Mike Everett, the umpire, at first. Kerwin Danley is at second, and Mike DeMuro is the umpire over at third. A change in the rotation. Again, Danley went down with heat exhaustion yesterday. It's good to see him back out there at second base today. 1 ball, 1 strike to Vina. He's hit safely in 34 of the last 40 Cardinal games, and there's Mr. Danley. Much more comfortable day for everybody to work. A little pop up on the infield, that ought to be easy. The sun makes it tough, though. Jeff Hewson comes in and makes the catch. Maybe it won't be easy. 1 up, 1 down. Very high sky.
Usually those balls tend to tail back toward the outfield when they come down. The wind's blowing in, kind of kept that one straight on the line, and Hewson really had a battle to make that play.
And it may not have been the sun, but the wind that really pushed that ball. A real knuckleball that he was able to handle right in the middle of the diamond. We've seen Ricky Gutierrez from time to time have trouble picking up the ball on pop-ups to the middle of the infield. So Hewson and Grace and Eric Young will have to look alive if it happens again. And here's Sean Dunston. Boy, it's good to see him playing well, even if it is for our arch rivals, the Cardinals. He made a couple of throws in game 1 of this series that were just remarkable as he came in late as a defensive replacement.
Sean's numbers with the Cubs: 107 home runs. You know, when he was signed back in '84 and finally got up to play, nobody thought he'd hit that many home runs, but this guy's got some power and still does, Chip, after all those years. Here's a guy, we were talking about this before the game, who, like some of the other veterans who've stayed around for a long time, really has a chance to play into his 40s. He's in great shape. He can play a bunch of different positions for you. He can pinch hit, pinch run, and do a whole lot of things for your ball club, and that's how Tony La Russa uses him here.
How about what he did defensively? As I said in game 1, threw out 1 man at the plate, Eric Young. Nearly threw out Damon Buford in the 8th inning of that game.
Well, there's never been any question about this guy's arm.
I mean, put him in center field.
Well, there was talk back in the 80s about making a relief pitcher out of him. I mean, he was a little wild throwing to first. I don't know how he would have been from the mound.
Well, it's a lot closer to the plate from the mound than it is from shortstop to first. But there was talk that at the very end of his Cub career, Billy Williams was telling me this before the game yesterday, they wanted to put him in the outfield, and Sean really resisted it. Hewson will challenge. The play at first, just in time. Dunston is out by an eyelash.
Looked a lot like the play Tatis made yesterday. Back behind the bag, right close to the foul line, and Jeff Hewson able to get a glove on it and then make a strong enough throw all the way across the diamond to get Dunston, who still gets down that line pretty well. Good play by the Cubs third baseman.
Sean thought he beat the play, but he was out. So 2 up, 2 down for Will Clark. Swing and a miss. Strike 1. Wasn't even a chance for Sean to bark at Gracie. He was so disappointed.
I'll tell you who he was barking at before the game today. Ryan Sandberg's at the game with his family, and Rhino and Sean were going at it over by the Cardinal dugout. What a combo, those two.
No balls, 2 strikes to Will Clark, who has been a huge pickup for the Cardinals, hitting .396. 4 homers, 12 RBIs, won the National League Player of the Week award his first week with the Cardinals. He homered in 4 straight games. And has had a big road trip for St. Louis. And you know he's got to be thrilled too, Dan, to be escaping that miserable situation in Baltimore where the Orioles weren't going anywhere. Now he goes to St. Louis, which many feel is one of, if not the best baseball town in America, for a team that's in first place and a team that many feels has a very good chance to win the whole enchilada.
Well, it's a great upgrade for him, and you know, you get a chance, Chip, to be with the ball club for a couple of months. It's not like you feel like you're an outsider coming in. I think that's enough time to really acclimate yourself to a team, and the way he started off, I'm sure all these guys love him already.
No question. Of course, Cardinals are without Mark McGwire, still sidelined by that tendonitis problem in his knee, and everybody in baseball hoping Big Mac will come back as strong as ever. Ground ball to first, easy 1-2-3 inning. First time in the series the Cardinals have gone in order in the first. Hopefully that's a good sign for the Cubs today. St. Louis nothing. Cubs coming up here in the first inning.
Hey, what's happening, B? Nothing. Just chilling, watching the game, having a bud. What's up with? Hold on a second. Hello?
What's that? Yo, hold up. Hello?
So what's up, B?
Nothing. Watching the game, having a bud.
No score after half inning. Here's the Cubs Pepsi lineup. Eric Young, Ricky Gutierrez, and Sammy Sosa. 2 hits in the series, both of them home runs. Mark Grace has had a good series against the Cardinals. Rondell White has 2. Damon Buford's in center field. Joe Girardi behind the plate. Jeff Houston hits 8th and 3rd. Kevin Tampany pitches and bats 9th.
And the Cardinals defense this afternoon looks like this. Tatis, Renteria, Vina, and Clark around the infield, 3rd to 1st. Dunston in left, Drew in center, and Davis out in right field today. Mike Matheny the catcher, and Darryl Kyle, 13-8, 4.29 ERA, and starts off Eric Young with a strike.
Only 2 men in the National League have won more games than Darryl Kyle this year. I'll give you a guess as to who they are. They're both left-handed. That's your clue. 1 strike to Young.
One of
2
them,
strikes.
the Cubs will see over the weekend in Arizona.
That's right. Randy Johnson.
Isn't that the good ship Little Arnie out there on Lake Michigan?
Rough ride for a little Arnie out there.
Arnie's new boat. He must be renting that thing out.
That bounces away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hopefully he's a better skipper than Alan Hale was on Gilligan's Island.
He's stuck on the breakwater out there off Navy Pier.
No doubt about it. How do you think Arnie would fare in the hit show Survivor?
I don't know, but he looked good in that hat that Alan Hale used to wear.
That's true. Maybe we should pick one up for him. The delivery to Young is rolled toward Tatis. He gloves, he grabs, he guns high. Close play, but in time. 1 out. You heard the ball hit the glove, then the foot hit the base. Great microphone work by our WGN crew. Bang, bang play goes the Cardinals' way.
Take another look. This looked closer than the play on Sean Dunston in the first inning on the Cardinals side. Tatis off the wrong foot, just got him, and Clark, a good play at first base to get out of the way. He got him by a good half step.
So 1 up, 1 down for Ricky Gutierrez, and that misses downstairs. The other pitcher with more than 13 wins is Tom Glavine of Atlanta. So Stevenson and Kyle each with 13 wins for St. Louis. In fact, for the Cardinals, 4 of their 5 starters have won 10 or more. Only young left-hander Rick Ankiel has yet to turn the trick, but he's 7-7. Kyle misses outside to Ricky. Ball 2. 2 balls and a strike. Many fans will always wonder what would have happened to Darryl Kyle had he not taken the extra $1 million or 2 or 3, whatever it was, to leave the best pitcher spark in baseball, the Astrodome, to go to Colorado as a free agent.
Well, in the short term, it was a bad decision. He'd be a nervous wreck by now playing an Enron field. But to have missed the Astrodome, especially with that offense behind him for a couple of years there. You know he's kicking himself a little bit about that.
3 balls, 2 strikes to Gutierrez. But Colorado's loss is St. Louis's gain. They're glad to have Kyle, and in that heat and humidity in St. Louis, that breaking ball works very well. That sky to straightaway right. Eric Davis is there. And Ricky flies out for out number 2, and you should hear a big roar for Sammy Sosa. He leads all of baseball with 38 home runs.
A tap on the back of the leg of the catcher and the umpire. Sammy digging in, and this is what happened yesterday out here at Wrigley Field. Sammy, in the very first inning, I'll tell you what, Chip, the ones he's hit in this series have not been cheap. He's been all over both of them. And now up to 38 for the year and leading everybody in the major leagues.
A quick strike to Sosa, 0-1. What you have to admire about Sosa, too, is that he's being a much more patient hitter. He's walked 74 times. His career high was 78, and that happened last season. He's hitting .315. He's driven in 107 runs. And now the opposition really starting to work him away.
Yeah, I don't think he got more than 2 or 3 pitches to hit yesterday at all. One of them wound up out in the street, but Garrett Stevenson really worked him away, and Sammy's been very patient.
Good rip, but out of play. Tapani worked a 1-2-3 first, and he has been a real bullpen saver this year for the Cubs. He's gone 6 or more and 20 starts this season. And there's a wicked breaking ball, and that takes care of Sosa. Darryl Kyle gets up 1-2-3 in the first. It's a scoreless game at Wrigley Field. A scoreless hitless game after 1 between the Cubs and Cardinals, and here's their slugging third baseman Fernando Tatis to lead things off. Tatis, a former Texas Ranger, came over in the Darren Oliver Royce Clayton deal a couple of seasons ago. He missed 50-odd games this year with a serious groin injury, and he loves hitting in Chicago. 15 homers, 52 driven in. And our special thanks to Cardinals skipper Tony La Russa for stopping by, spending a few minutes with us on the leadoff man program. He's got a very good ball club, very balanced. Their bullpen's starting to come around now. Their starting rotation has been the one constant for them, something they really haven't had but twice in his tenure in St. Louis. And fairly or unfairly, the fans in Eastern Missouri tend to forget that. If you don't pitch and you don't have consistent pitching, no matter how highly priced the rest of your talent is, you're not going to win. And Tatis got popped again. He got hit on the hand yesterday. Got an RBI for that in the first. This time he gets hit right in the back and wonders, what did I do to deserve such treatment?
Well, you don't see that very often. Tapani letting one getting away ahead in the count. And he zammed it right in the middle of the back, right on the belt there, and kind of a painful trip to Chicago for Fernando. A couple of hits and 6 trips, and he's been hit as often as he's gotten one.
Tatis is tattooed here in the second inning. Where's the number of my boyhood hero? Ted Simmons, great Cardinal catcher. But getting back to what we were saying before, the Cardinals have a very solid starting rotation. They have never had that before. It added 96, but then they broke down late.
Well, that's the key, as Tony said, staying healthy. I mean, you don't find anybody in baseball have that kind of rotation stay together, not miss a turn, you know, for a stretch like this. It's incredible.
And what's amazing too for St. Louis, at least in their last 2 series, they haven't hit a home run. Didn't hit one in Milwaukee, and so far, knock on wood, have not hit one against the Cubs here. And if they can start winning games without the long ball and without bludgeoning people to death, that's really going to help them if they make it to the postseason. As Davis takes low, ball 2, 2 balls and a strike.
And of course, if McGuire comes back, they've been a different ball club offensively without him. I think it's probably hurt Jim Edmonds as much as anybody. He's really not done much since Mark went on the DL. Actually has a day off today to try to sit back and watch and get things together.
Tapani might have gotten away with a mistake there. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Davis.
But, you know, think about it, Chip. Take Sammy out of the Cubs lineup, and what do you have offensively? I mean, the Cardinals are probably a little bit more potent than the Cubs are, but it's a similar situation. Very tough to deal with, and the Cardinals have fought right through it.
Davis down on strikes. Breaking ball retires him. 1 down in the St. Louis second. Davis thought it was low and away.
Take another look at that pitch, and Kevin Tapani pretty much right on the corner with that one. I don't think the plate's going to be quite as wide as it was yesterday. Take a look from the Southwest Airlines camera. Pretty close to that outside corner.
So 1 away for J.D. Drew. Drew with 16 home runs and hitting .299. This guy had a real rough rookie season with St. Louis. A learning year for him, but no sophomore slump. He's been outstanding. Tapani changing speeds well early. No balls, 2 strikes. That must be a Jimmy Buffett fan. A parrot head.
Got it written right on the front of that hat.
Well, they teach you to read at Georgia, Dan, but not too goodly. Scoreless game in inning number 2. And that's outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Getaway day for Arizona today. They're playing the Phillies in Veterans Stadium. They lead them 2-1 after 5. Braves lead San Diego by 1. Drew hits a shot to right field. Rounding second, on his way to third is Tatis. The throw a little late. First and third for the Cardinals with 1 man out. First St. Louis hit. And Drew rips it into right field. So the Cardinals have the game's first scoring opportunity now.
J.D. Drew down on the count here. Stayed back and got Goodwood on that one. Poked it right through the hole and into right field. Tatis never looked back. He was going to third all the way, and Sammy was trying to gun him down. Missed the cutoff man. The throw got to third base, but not nearly in time to get Tatis. So big scoring opportunity here for the Cardinals in the second inning. And Tapani's going to have to try and pitch out of some trouble.
Hopefully he can get Renteria to ground into a double play here. Renteria has bounced into a team high 15 of them for St. Louis. He's had a good series, however. 4 for 9 with 2 runs batted in. And he's hit 7th now in all 3 games. Packed house at the ballpark. A lot of fans here from St. Louis. And after this one concludes, we play the Redbirds 7 more times. One ball, 1 strike. Renteria nearly out of that batter's box from the right hand side, and that one misses away, says Brian Gorman. 2 balls and a strike.
This almost feels like the first time the Cubs and Cardinals have played all year. They played the opening series of the season, and that right behind the Cubs trip to Tokyo was a total disaster down in St. Louis.
Swing and a foul tip. They outscored the Cubs 30-8 at Busch Stadium and hit 9 home runs in 3 games.
That was terrible.
They were loaded for bear. They were so ready, so excited about this season in St. Louis, and the Cubs did have the disadvantage of flying halfway around the world to go to St. Louis and face them. Did he offer? Apparently not. Full count, 3-2. So will Drew be running with Mike Matheny waiting on deck? Again, you have Renteria, who will hit into a double play. Renteria has also struck out 63 times. So let's see what Tony La Russa has in mind. Runner doesn't go, and the pitch swung on it high in the air, deep toward left. White at the track, at the wall, leaps up. It's gone. It's a 3-run homer for Renteria, and the Cardinals have a 3-0 lead. And in his excitement, Renteria almost passed Drew. That would have been an out. But give him his 13th home run, 54 RBIs. And it's 31 home runs surrendered by Tapani. And that's what Grace and Don Baylor are going to talk about. The base runners apparently touched.
Well, he ran right up his back, Chip. There was no question about the fact that they ran into each other. Don Baylor and Mark Grace out there to argue the point. Third base umpire Kerwin Danley. I don't know what Drew was thinking, because Danley called home run right off the bat.
Well, I'm sure from his angle he saw Rondell White leap, and then he saw the ball come down. He thought the ball may have been caught, but there's the touch.
I mean, can't be much more obvious than that.
Now, the only explanation I would have is after the ball is declared a home run, it's a dead ball. But if you pass a base runner, it would be an out. The run wouldn't count.
Well, he didn't pass him,
but he touched him.
Certainly did.
Now, the Cubs were penalized when Brant Brown and Eric Young touched, but the ball was still in play. That was the big difference. The Cardinals touch on the base paths, but the ball had already cleared the fence by the time they touched, and that's what the Cubs want to find out. We'll try to grab the rule book and see if we can get an explanation. Maybe Bob Rosenberg will have one for us as well. In the meantime, it's 3-0 St. Louis on the Renteria home run. 31 home runs surrendered by Tapani on the year. High pop on the right side. Ewise shields his eyes from the scorching sun. And there's out number 2. Cardinals by 3 on the Renteria home run. And that is the first home run hit by the Cardinals in 195 at bats, or a little more than 5 games.
We talked about their pitching balance, Chip.
Darryl Kyle sends a shot right center. Buford on the run makes the catch and puts it away. Kyle put a charge into that one, and Dan, you're right on target. Wind blowing in. We've already seen 3 runs score on a big Renteria homer. It's 3-0 in favor of St. Louis. Edgar Renteria hits a 3-run homer into the stiff breeze, and the Cardinals enjoy a 3-0 advantage. The Cubs apparently arguing that Renteria passed J.D. Drew. Very clearly on the replay we showed you, that did not happen. There was, however, plenty of contact, and he touched him, but he didn't pass him. Nearly did. Very nearly did.
They were definitely going in opposite directions, weren't they?
Now you'll see a play like that, but you won't see it too often, especially on a home run ball. So the Cubs offense has got to step it up now. 3-run hole early in the ball game, and Darryl Kyle misses outside with ball 1. Grace needs 3 hits to tie Ron Santo for 6th all-time on the Cubs hit list. Ronnie finished with 2,171 Cub hits, and there's a high fly ball hammered pretty well toward right, but Eric Davis will track it down. 4 up, 4 down.
Pretty much going to have to be a line drive to get out of here today, although Renteria's had some altitude on it. A 3-2 pitch that he really got into.
And that for Renteria, career high 13th home run. Here's Rondell, 3 for 7 in the series for the Cubs. And Kyle gets that breaking ball over. Boy, that's the big pitch for him. He's always had an outstanding breaking pitch. And when it's hot, when it's sticky, as it is this time of year in St. Louis, he can be awfully tough.
Rondell White hasn't had too much trouble with him. Rondell's 7 out of 18 career against Darryl Kyle, so he's had plenty of success.
That one chopped off the plate to Tatis. As he play 5 in a row, retired by Kyle to start the game. Talking about it yesterday, the Cubs have a lot of off-season work to do. This team is looking for a third baseman. Hopefully Shane Andrews can be that guy. In fact, Shane might be back sometime next week for the Cubs. He's rehabbing down at AAA. Had a pinch hit home run last night, we understand. But this team is Going to be in the market for a lot of bullpen help, maybe a starting pitcher, and a lot of bench help too, especially from the left side in reserve. Losing Glenn Allen Hill for this team has been a real big noticeable absence. As Damon Buford digs in, 1 ball, 1 strike. Glenn Allen Hill, of course, traded to the Yankees, where he's been terrific as a DH, late inning pinch hitter. The Cubs haven't gotten a whole lot of help off the bench late in the ball game, and hopefully there's some help on the horizon coming from the farm system or through free agency. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Boy, look at the movement on that pitch. 2-2.
Well, there's help on the horizon in the farm system. It's just a question of whether or not it can be ready to go next year, Chip. I think their best pitching prospects, and Brown, some of those guys a couple of years away from probably making a big contribution up here.
How about Darryl Kyle? He's perfect through 2 and has struck out 2. It's 3-0 St. Louis. Hey, a good look at the Dave Grunvig family. Dave, our audio engineer at the ballpark. And they're on hand to see the Cubs battle the Cardinals. And we've just seen Fernando Vina pop out. 4 out number 1 very quickly in our 3rd inning. Our crew wants to thank the fine folks at Gibson's Steakhouse down on Rush Street in downtown Chicago. Kathy O'Malley Piccone brought some goodies by for the entire truck. And our broadcast crew as well. Mike Shannon of the Cardinals came over and stole a plate of ribs from us. And we want to thank those folks. They do a great job. That's a wonderful, wonderful place. And Kathleen, just a terrific lady. So thanks to the folks at Gibson's for making our day a little more special. And thanks to Kathy Kerr for not stealing all the banana cream pie. She's shown remarkable restraint. Here's Dunston.
Hey, it's early, buddy.
That's true.
It's early yet.
That is true. Sean grounded out to 3rd, a bang play. And Jeff Houston got him by just a smidge. I pop out of play. It's 1-1. Hey, there's Kathy Kerr, the lovely and talented one on the right, and Katie Savada from Eastern Illinois University, one of our radio TV interns at WGN this summer. She's completing her final day at work today and will be heading back to school. Katie did a great job for us, a terrific young lady, and she might be working next to me in a matter of days. You just don't know.
It could happen.
But Katie, it's a pleasure to meet you, and we say that tongue-in-cheek and hope Stoney's feeling better today. Look forward to hopefully seeing him back when we come back from the road trip, which takes us to Arizona and Houston. Outside to Dunston. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hot shot, just foul. Missed an extra base hit by a couple of inches.
Talk about that trip, Chip. This would be a nice game to get your offense started, because you're going to face some serious pitching on that one, especially down there in Arizona, where
well, we're going to see
Randy Johnson's going Sunday.
and Kurt Schilling, Brian Anderson, Randy Johnson, and Schilling and the big unit will be seen right here on WGN. Quevedo, Lieber, and Garibay for the moment. There is a chance Kerry Wood could pitch that Sunday game. But what a matchup that would be. Randy Johnson potentially against Kerry Wood. We hope that'll be the case. We'll know more, I'm sure, after the game today. And I'll be joined by Bobby Dernier. He'll be pinch hitting for a while. In fact, he'll join Wayne Larrivee Friday and Saturday. I'll be back Sunday for the series finale in Arizona. Almost as many broadcasters for the Cubs as players for the Cubs this year. That's not a good sign. That's ripped foul past 3rd, and Dunston stays alive.
Yeah, that's when you know things aren't going that well for you, when the broadcasters start to fill up the DL. But it's been a rough summer for Stoney, and we certainly hope that his health improves and he's back to normal in a very short time.
And another one of our pinch hitters, Pat Foley, who filled in for me, will be here to guest conduct our 7th inning stretch. Dunston swings and misses, and Tapani has his second strikeout. There's 2 away in the 3rd now.
Pretty good at bat for Dunston until that pitch. Tapani took a little bit off that one, shone way out in front and had no chance to make contact. So 2 strikeouts for Tapani, and Will Clark steps in. See if we can get another 1-2-3 inning here, Chip, and then maybe get something going here in the bottom of the 3rd.
Well, he's been ahead of everybody so far. That's an encouraging sign. And he's ahead of Clark.
That one had a chance to land on my car.
Better yours than mine. I think we'll be all right. Nothing in 2. Nothing in 2 to Clark. Way outside. Our producer Pete Toma checking out the rule book downstairs on that Renteria home run. Rule 7.08H. You can't pass a preceding base runner before that runner is out. Doesn't say anything about touching him. The Cubs thought he did pass him, but clearly the replay showed he didn't. So the umpires, as they usually do, did get the call right. So it's 3-0 St. Louis, and a 2-2 pitch to Clark just missed for ball 3. Reds are in Milwaukee again tonight. Cincinnati 5.5 games behind St. Louis. Cardinals finally hit a home run today, their first in a little over 5 games, as Renteria poked one in the 2nd inning. Clark hits it off his thumbs to left. Rondell White surrounds it, gathers it, and it is a 1-2-3 third. Here come the Cubs in the bottom half. Darryl Kyle's been perfect. It's 3-0 St. Louis.
Ice cold Bud Light, ice cold Bud Light. Hey, who wants one?
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Kid, how many fingers? He's fine.
Well, when I got hurt and missed work, glad I had supplemental insurance.
Supplemental insurance? What's that?
Aflac.
Well, even the best insurance doesn't give you cash to cover things like lost pay, other expenses. This does.
What does?
Aflac.
Shouldn't ask about it at work.
Really? And what's it called?
Aflac.
Aflac. Without it, no insurance is complete.
Aflac.
3-0 after 2.5, and here's your chance to visit the Cubs clubhouse, the Wrigley Field press box, the playing field, dugouts, and more as the Cubs present exclusive tours of Wrigley Field. Tickets are only a $10 donation to Cubs Care, and tours are available throughout the rest of the summer. Buy your tickets in advance by calling Ticketmaster at 312-831-CUBS. Our next tour date is August 19th, and all proceeds benefit Cubs Care, the charitable arm of the Chicago Cubs. Joe Girardi has the first base hit for the Cubs today.
Wasn't much, but it's a start. Inside fastball, and Girardi inside outs at the right field. And the Cubs are finally on the board here against Darryl Kyle.
And Jeff Houston will hit. Toughest spot in the National League, really, in baseball, is to be a number 8 hitter in the National League. You got the pitcher on deck. Don't see too many RBI opportunities. Really have to be patient and pick your spots. And Houston has done a great job for the Cubs, hitting .247 this year with 7 runs batted in. 1 ball, no strikes to Jeff Houston. Cubs trailing by 3. We're in the third, wind blowing in. A beautiful 76-degree day.
Tatis expecting a bunt perhaps from Houston. He's in even with the bag at third base. Middle infield at double play depth as Houston tries to keep this inning going here. Get a runner to scoring position. One of our better hitters in the lineup is on deck.
That's Kevin Tapani. When it's your pitcher, that's a little bit scary.
Oh, nothing against the rest of the lineup. That guy can hit. We were talking in the locker room yesterday. You know, Darren Dryford's a free agent at the end of this year, and he hit 2 about 455 or 60 feet apiece against the Cubs the other night. Tap thought maybe we should sign him as a bench guy.
Houston draws the walk. So now Tapani, who can handle the bat, should be butting. And hopefully he'll get it down. Before he does lay one down, let's step aside and pause quickly for station identification.
This is WGN, entertaining America.
Beautiful breezy August afternoon. Dan Roan, Chip Carey, Cubs trailing by 3, but have our first scoring chance of the day. 2 are on, none are out. And Kevin Tapani, with 6 sacrifice hits on the year, is the hitter. Tatis comes charging. No sign of a bunt yet. Now it comes from Tapani, and he lays it down, but hard to the mound. Kyle spins to third, 1 on to first, 2, double play. That's the last thing the Cubs wanted to have happen. A hard bunt back to Kyle. Perfect world, you roll it down the third base line, you're in business. Instead, it's a 1-5-4 double play.
If anybody but the pitcher fields this ball, everything's pretty good. But Kyle bounces off the mound right over to third base, easy out there, and then Tapani unable to beat the relay throw. So what looked like a promising inning here in the third is going to come down to Eric Young getting a big 2-out RBI.
Eric grounded out to third his first time up. 2 outs, runner at second. 3-0 Cardinals in the Cubs' third. That's outside, ball 1. Big story in baseball, Todd Helton on the 16th of August is hitting .396 for Colorado. And he's got an outstanding chance to do it. And by it, I mean hit .400, in that they play most of their games the rest of the year at Coors Field.
You'd have to figure that if somebody were ever to do this again, somebody from the Rockies would certainly have the bigger chance. And look at that. The last 24 trips, 17 hits. A .708 batting average over the last, what, 6, 7, or 8 games.
The 2-0 pitch. Due to Young. Inside. Snap throw back to second, and back safely is Jeff Houston.
Was looking through some of the numbers at Helton, Chip. He's hitting, I think, .429 in day games. He's the league leader all the way around.
He's
there.
lead leader in day, night versus righties. Jeffrey Hammonds is actually out hitting him at home at .438. On the road, he's hitting .359. .393 with men in scoring position. And that's a strike. Young thought it was a little far outside. 3-1 the count. The only thing he hasn't hit is a Bronco wide receiver, and that's because he's not quarterbacking. But it may come to that too. Of course, Helton, a great signal caller at the University of Tennessee, second best school in the Southeastern Conference, of course. 3-1.
Florida's
Foul
number
tip.
one,
Nope.
the guys say.
They're probably 7th or 8th if you're a Georgia fan.
What are you talking about here? Are we talking about athletics, academics, combination?
Oh, definitely not academics. I mean,
I was
I'm
going to
proof of
say.
that. Certainly alumni, we'll say that. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Mr. Illinois State man.
Yep.
Was it halfway down or all the way down when they chucked the diploma in driving through town? 3-2 the count.
Not sure. You know, We're going to win a national championship in football this year. Division I AA. Watch him.
3-2.
There you go.
He lost Young. Tying run comes to the plate anyhow. Kyle, 3-1 strikeout to walk ratio this year. He's walked 2, struck out 2 today. And in this ballpark, no matter the conditions, that's inviting trouble. So here's Ricky, fly to right, his first time up. See if the Cubs can hit one on a line someplace. Dave Duncan hollering over at Mike Matheny.
Look through some of these numbers. You see Ricky Gutierrez pop up as the Cubs' #1 hitter with runners in scoring position, #4 in the league, Chip, at 372. So when he's got teammates at second and third, he's been able to come through all season long.
That was an interesting little sequence there. You saw Dave Duncan on our shot screaming at Mike Matheny to get on out to the mound. Duncan saw something in Kyle's delivery, and rather than waste a trip to the mound here, hollered at the catcher. The catcher went out and relayed the message, and it's almost like a visit from your pitching coach. Let's see if it works. Not with that pitch. Ball 1 low. Cardinals by 3 on an Edgar Renteria second inning homer. Outside corner, a laser beam for a strike. Ricky not too sure. Hard to believe school is right around the corner. Some of the kiddies just a couple of weeks away. Some kids it's next Monday. Ouch. 1-2 is your count. A lot of good seats available when we get back from that brief Western trip. August 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st against San Diego. So what a great way to end the summer. Come on out to Wrigley Field, see the Cubs, see Sammy Sosa, take a look at the Ivy one more time before fall arrives. Ground ball hit to the left side. Tatis stays down, throws to second in time. That retires Young and the Cubs, who had 2 on, none out, and failed to score here in the third. 4th inning rolls around. 3-0 St. Louis. It's 3-0 as we head to the Cardinals' 4th. Tatis will lead things off, and before he leaves town, he might want to consider bringing some of that football gear out. Maybe he can borrow some pads from the Bears. We've hit him all over the place.
Well, he's wearing enough of it right now.
He got hit 3 times in the White Sox series. He's gotten hit twice. Look at this guy.
He does look like a football player, and that's, you know, a guy who's right up next to the plate with a closed stance. It's no wonder he gets hit.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I mean, I'm all for protecting a player from injury, but if you get hit on that front arm because you're leaning out,
don't lean out.
Tough luck, pal. Get out of the way.
I see Don Baylor's got something on the market, Chip. I read the newspaper this morning, a little pad for the hand of the hitter. Ricky Gutierrez got hit the other day, and Don said he had been out for the year, probably, if not for the use of that pad that Don's got going.
Jeff Bagwell, the same thing. He has that big giant pad on the front hand, at the front of his bottom hand. The left hand is a right-hand hitter.
Well, Bagwell and Biggio look like the X-Men out there. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
2-2 pitch. Swung and hit softly into left center field. That might be real trouble. Buford comes on. Gutierrez goes out. Drops safely. Tatis is aboard with his first base hit of the day in the third for the Cardinals. That was hit out in no man's land. No chance for anybody to get it. And the Cardinals again have their leadoff man aboard. I believe that if you hit a guy on the arm because he's leaning out over the plate, you have to give the pitcher something. The strike zone is smaller. The hitters are bigger. The ballparks are smaller. There has to be some disincentive for a player to want to have both sides of the plate covered so easily. Guys are quick and strong enough to recover on a pitch inside if they're hanging out over the inside edge. There was some whispering that maybe if a batter gets hit like that, it would be called a ball rather than a hit batsman. That'll probably never happen. But there just isn't a whole lot of anything left for the pitcher anymore as Davis hits what should be a double play, and Eric Young got taken out at second base, couldn't get the ball out of his glove, and that cost the Cubs a chance to turn it. Joe Girardi with a heads-up backup played the ricochet off the front of the Cardinal dugout, and Davis is aboard with one away.
Well, EY did his best to get rid of it, but he couldn't get it out of his glove, and then it looked to me like that ball almost hit off the lens of one of our cameras down there. Watch this. Couldn't get rid of it, then way over the head of Grayson. It wasn't really getting it out of his glove, Chip. He just double clutched on the throw, saw the runner bearing down on him.
And the throw behind him, too. Not a good lead from Ricky. And the Cardinals have one on with one out instead of none on and two out. And J.D. Drew, the hitter, he singled and scored his one and only time up there. Big wave and a miss for a strike. Everybody says J.D. Drew is going to be a superstar. Well, the Cardinals gambled. They signed him, paid him the big dollars he was seeking after he rejected an offer from the Phillies, sat out that year. And Drew now getting a chance to play virtually every day in St. Louis with the Cardinals. No balls, 2 strikes. The 0-2 is outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
We talked earlier about their pitching balance, Chip. If you look at their lineup, even without McGuire, they've got guys up and down here who can take you out of the park. 16 home runs for the guy in the number 6 spot in your lineup. That's not so bad.
See if the Cubs can turn this one. 3, 6. Not in time. Drew runs very well. Well, I like this Cardinal team. I said it when we saw them in St. Louis. First game of the series, they stacked 5 left-handers at the top of the order against John Lieber. As you see Grace make the strong throw, but Drew outran the baseball. Yesterday, left, 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 then Tatis. Today, left, right, right, left, right, right in their batting order. They can stack it just about any way you want. That makes it real tough on the opposition all day long, but especially in the late innings when you try to get that key out, because you can run through your bullpen real quick.
And when they're full up, you have McGuire from the right side and Edmonds available and out there most days from the left side. So there's a lot of pop in that lineup.
3 balls, no strikes. Cardinals by 3. 3-0 is the count. 3-run homer for Edgar Renteria. And that's outside for a ball. 1 ball and 1 strike. They paid very dearly to get this guy from the Florida Marlins, but it continues that run of great Cardinal shortstops. He went fishing. Everybody remembers Ozzie Smith, of course. And that preceded him, Gary Templeton and Royce Clayton, now Renteria. And back to first is J.D. Drew. Off day tomorrow. Actually, it's a travel day. Then it's Arizona Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then to Houston, where we hope Enron Field will help the Cubs offense come to life, and it's going to have to. That Houston team is really starting to slug the baseball. They're playing very well right now. In fact, the Astros have won their last 3. Down on strikes goes Renteria. Tapani has 3 strikeouts through 3 innings and a half of this ball game. Cardinals still lead by 3. Dan, let's take a look at our Illinois Lottery fun facts. 16 times in baseball history, the home run leader from both leagues has come from the same city. The last time that happened, 44 years ago. This year, Sosa leads National League and Frank Thomas leads the American League. Ironically, the number 2 home run hitters come from Southern California.
Both from the LA area. Troy Glaus of Anaheim in the American League and Gary Sheffield in the National League from the Dodgers.
Well, let's get some offense going here. Sammy Sosa will try to do just that. He struck out on a wicked breaking ball his first time up.
I read somewhere last week out on the West Coast where Sammy was voted by in a poll of general managers and some other people as the most overrated player in baseball. Just saw the numbers. 318, 38, 107 RBIs. That's overrated.
Maybe they're just trying to get him for less than market value.
Maybe that has something to do with it.
Don't think that's going to happen.
Try and figure that out.
All I know is this, that since Sosa, his agents, and the Cubs all got a glimpse of what life would be like without each other, Cubs have won 19 of 32. At one point were within reach of the Cardinals, closing in on second place against the Cincinnati Reds. And Sammy was playing all facets of the game magnificently, hitting for average, hitting for power, running the base as well, playing as good a defensive right field as we've ever seen him play. And so Sosa's agents have told us, told Steve, they've told me that they're cautiously optimistic something can get done. Andy McPhail has said he'd like to see something get done with Sammy's contract. And even if it doesn't happen by the end of this year or in this offseason, Sammy has another year on his contract left with the Cubs.
I don't think there's any question that whatever problems the Cubs have, and they certainly have some, Sammy Sosa is not one of them. Yeah, you'd like to stack your lineup with about 7 or 8 guys just like him that are so overrated.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Swung, line hard to center field, but right at Drew. 1 out. Interesting note. Jason Stark's column on the internet. Again, we're going to Arizona to face the Diamondbacks. Randy Johnson's record since the Curt Schilling trade: 3 starts, 0-2, 26 hits in 17 2/3 innings, and an ERA over 9. Interesting. 1 ball, no strikes to Grace, who fly to right his first time up.
Can't imagine, what actual effect it would have on Johnson, other than to give his team a better rotation to have Schilling in there. Although, he's human. He's been knocked around before, but he always seems to come back pretty strong.
1-1 to Grace. 1-2.
I'm sure Mark Grace is looking forward to seeing him standing in there from the left side against that guy.
He's intimidating, and I'm 200 feet away from him when we see those guys play. Grace hits it to left in the air. Long run for Dunston, but Sean makes the play. Kyle just continues to roll right along. 2 up, 2 down in the Cub 4th. Managed but 1 hit today. That was by Joe Girardi. Rondell White fouls the first pitch. Out of play. He grounded out to third his first time up. That one out of play, 0-2.
Got a couple of pitchers here today wasting no time. These guys are working quickly, and they're both throwing almost nothing but strikes.
He's been real tough. And he's done that, which is really interesting for Kyle. He drops that arm angle and almost brings it sidearm. And
ball broke about 2 feet. Mike Matheny having a little problem back there. Rondell White right off the old coconut.
He hit the little red bird.
Well, Matheny, his eyes look a little funny there, but I think he's okay.
2 strikes to White. And Rondell looks away at ball 1. That missed. Ball 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Why don't you get one of those hats? Wear it on the news.
Maybe I will. Where do you think they sell
I mean, I
those
said if
things?
the Cubs come back and win the division, I'll shave my head. If we come back and win the division, you should wear that for a week on the news during ratings week.
Better for me than you shaving your head.
There's no doubt about that. 3-2 pitch. Line into right field. That ball almost over his head.
Fastball with some movement on it. And way up there. And Rondell White went up and got it. Hit it hard. Good look right there where that pitch was. Up in his eyes. And Rondell with the second hit of the game for the Cubs. And now Damon Buford tries to move things along here in the 4th inning.
Buford caught looking on a big curveball. That one chopped off the plate. For a strike. It's 0-1. Yankees lead the Red Sox by 5 games in the AL East. White Sox lead over the Indians is 8.5 in the AL Central. Cleveland 2 games behind Oakland for the wild card. The A's trail Seattle by 4 in the American League Western race. Out of play by Buford. Braves lead the Mets by just 2 games in the NL East. Cardinals by 5.5 over the Reds. Arizona still 1 game behind San Francisco. And out west, Seattle playing very good baseball. That's a team nobody wants to play. They have maybe the most pitching depth of any team in the major leagues right now.
If things stayed the way they are right now in the American League, I guess the White Sox would start off with the Mariners because they can't play the wild card Cleveland because they'd come from their own division.
Which I hate. I think that's a dumb rule. There should be a reward for having the best record, and that reward should be playing a non-division winning team, no matter who it is. No balls, 2 strikes.
Looks like the Yankees are almost in over there in the East again.
Especially if Pedro's shoulder is of concern. Ground ball up the middle. Renteria will go to first in time, and very easily the Cubs again go in the 4th inning. No runs, 1 hit, our second of the day, and 1 man left. It's 3-0 Cardinals. Nothing is our score as we head to the Cardinal 5th. Chip Carey along with Dan Roan, and you've been absolutely no help at all.
I was just going to say, I apologize. What's going on here?
Well, we've run into a red-hot Cardinal team as Mike Matheny grounds that ball past Jeff Houston. Matheny hitting .600 against Cub pitching, and this Cardinal team, Dan, really starting to hit its stride. If they can win games without Mark McGwire and without hitting a lot of home runs, they're going to be awfully tough to catch.
Yeah, you got guys like Renteria coming through for you like that too. A big 2-out 3-run homer. I mean, a big hit that teams that win championships get from people like Renteria.
And you have to like their pitching too. When you have all 5 of your opening day starters not miss a turn over the course of a long season, you're in real good shape. And Kyle in good shape as he lays down a bunt. Eric Young covers first. Runner at second, 1 out for St. Louis. So the sacrifice scored 1-4. And Matheny in scoring position for the top of the Cardinal order, and that means Fernando Vina. Vina's popped out twice, once to third and once to shallow center field. And that misses downstairs. We want to welcome John and Amy Twomey to the ballpark today. They're celebrating their 26th wedding anniversary today. And the Healy family, Jack and Sharon, are from Billerica, Massachusetts, celebrating their 10th wedding anniversary at Wrigley Field today. Billerica, that's Tom Glavine territory. That's his hometown. They probably knew Tom when he was just a little kid.
Speaking of little kids, our honorary bat boy today is Nick Weatherford. Not only did he get a chance to come down to Wrigley Field, but it's his mom's birthday today, Kathy Weatherford. Celebrating another year. Actually, their family and our family were in Lamaze class together.
Oh,
a long
really?
time ago down in Champaign.
How about that bunt for Vigna? Matheny to third. Vigna with his third hit of the series. He throws a surprise party. And the Cardinals have him at the corners and leading by 3.
Just to tell you how perfect that bunt was by Vigna. Both infielders at the corners, Grace and Huson, were playing in. And he almost deadened it in front of Jeff Huson. That's how good it was. So a bunt single, first and third. And the Cardinals threatening to add to that lead.
And Sean Dunston can make life tough on his former teammates. Dunston is 0 for 2 today. We'll also pass along greetings to big Cub fan Doug Stanton, watching the game down in Cardinal territory today on WGN. Lazy fly ball into center field, but that's a tough play. Bright sky, and Buford can't make the play. Matheny's going to score, and Vigna into second. Damon fighting it all the way. We told you it'd be a tough play, and it was. And the Cardinals get a real cheap run.
Well, Chip, Damon called that early. I mean, either one of those outfielders could have had it. Rondell White was called off the play. You see him shading his eyes, but the wind just pulled it right back in toward the infield away from him. I don't think it hit his glove, did it?
Nope. No matter how you score it, Matheny is in. It's a 4-0 game. And if it'll be an error on Buford, he doesn't have many of them. He's only made 2 all year. So they give Buford an error and a sacrifice fly RBI for Dunston. Fans might argue, but that's a play you got to make. I mean, it's a high sky, bright sunny conditions, but he called for it. He was there. He just missed it. So it's the third Buford error. Dunston gets the RBI. Would have been deep enough for a sac fly anyway. And Will Clark pops that into the seats. 4 strike 2. And again, it's a high sky, tough play. He's got sunglasses on. He's shielding the eyes. He called everybody off early. He's right there, and the ball nearly went through his hands. He should have made that play.
Well, I think what happened was he saw the ball all the way, just misjudged it.
Yeah.
The wind brought it back in toward the infield, and he wasn't ready for it.
I agree with Bob Rosenberg on that particular call, and that pains me to no end.
I knew you'd say that.
No, he's doing a great job.
You notice Rosie's sitting over there in the press box all by himself with all of his friends. Well, somebody's actually speaking to him now. But
I wonder if Jim Parquet liked that particular call. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitch. Good pitch. And Clark goes down swinging. That's 4 strikeouts for Tapani today. And another look. So again, we have to face Tatis. He's been on base twice. 4-0 St. Louis. Vina and Dunston are on here in the 5th. Big cut. 1-1. San Diego has tied Atlanta. That game 1-1 in the 8th inning. You see the home run Andres Galarraga hit last night. Hit a bullet late in that ball game off Woody Williams. Braves beat him 3-1. Arizona now with a 4-1 lead over the Fighting Phillies at Veterans Stadium. AL baseball, Toronto in a 6-6 tie at home against Anaheim. The other AL action is later, including the Sox at Baltimore. That misses 3 balls and a strike to Tatis. St. Louis by 4 here in the 5th inning. Chopped foul. Don't forget, friends, never too early to start thinking about the 2001 Cubs convention. February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I believe, here in Chicago at the beautiful Chicago Hilton Towers. Sammy Sosa will be there. Mark Grace, Don Baylor will be there. Juan Santo, Ernie Banks, Billy Williams, great Cubs of years gone by. It's always a great occasion. We hope you'll be there for it. Tatis is on base for the 3rd time today as Kevin walks him with 2 men out. First one of those on the day. And here's Eric Davis. Wonder how many years are left for Eric Davis as a major league player. Of course, he's come back from colon cancer surgery when he was with Baltimore, the lacerated kidney, after he was a member of that World Series winning Cincinnati ball club 10 years ago. If this is the last go round, he's going out with a bang. He's hitting nearly .350 since the All-Star break. And a chance to make it real tough on the Cubs with a base hit here. Had a 5-hit game a month ago against the Sox. Bases full of Cardinals and a 1-2 count now to Davis. .11 career grand slams. Had Eric Davis not gotten hurt, might have had a chance for a Hall of Fame career. He could do it all as a youngster. 2-2. Just to remember him hitting baseballs all over the yard as a member of the Reds.
So fast, too. He had tremendous speed, a lot of power.
2-2.
Oh, close.
But no cigar. Full count, 3-2. Everybody will be moving with 2 outs now.
From the southwest overhead camera, just off the corner on the outside. Been a wide plate in this series, but a little too outside with that one. And here's the pitch that'll keep the Cubs in the ball game, perhaps.
3-2. Got him with it. Big pitch by Kevin Taffney. He has his 5th strikeout. He strands 3 Cardinals, but they pick up 1 on a very costly error and sac fly. It's 4-0 St. Louis heading to the bottom of the 5th. Here's Joe Girardi. He got the first Cub hit. That was back in the 3rd inning when we had a real good chance to make things interesting. Cardinals led it by 3 at that point. We had 2 on, none out, and did not score. So Kyle, working quickly and effectively, gets a quick strike over to the Cub catcher Joe Girardi. Joe looking for his 2nd hit of the series. Does have an RBI. That came on Friday in the Cub win. 4-0 St. Louis. Nope. All 2. Might need that when we head down to the desert Southwest. Heat index around 110, 111 over in Phoenix.
It's a dry heat.
That's what they always say. Line into left center field. Girardi's 2 for 2. Well, that'll make the folks in the ballpark happy. It makes the Gorman family happy too. Fred and Marilyn are here celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary.
Joe Girardi able to get in front of this one, and the hardest ball hit by a Cub yet today, maybe outside of that Sammy Sosa line drive to center field a couple of innings ago. So Girardi with 2 hits, and the Cubs are back where they started from in the 3rd inning.
Houston walked in that 3rd. And that one dumped down the left field line. Dunston on the run. He makes the play in fair ground. Jeff pops out. That's out number 1. Kevin Tapani to hit. Before he does, we'll step aside and tell you what's coming up later on WGN.
A fatherless boy in need of direction finds a mentor and friend in a disfigured shut-in. Mel Gibson is The Man Without a Face. Tonight at 8 Eastern on WGN.
Well, Dan, a lot of us with the Cubs will be out on that water tonight. And no, we won't be riding little Arnie. We'll be on the cruise ship Odyssey. Cubs cruise is tonight. And we're all looking forward to a fun evening this evening. Looking forward to meeting some of our fans. Beautiful sailing weather, we understand, tonight.
I'm surprised. You know, the Odyssey is a very nice boat, but the little Arnie is so much bigger and more comfortable. Why wouldn't they use that one?
Yeah, I guess it's already booked. An off day tomorrow, maybe. Arnie's got a track he's going to go see. A little pop. And back into the seats. 4 strike 1. That looks a lot like the little Arnie.
All those former interns down below rowing.
It's amazing.
Katie doesn't know she's going to have to do that at some point in time before she gets released.
Bread and water for the crew. Tapani got the bunt down this time cleanly. The catcher Matheny makes the play. If we'd had that bunt in the 3rd, we'd have been in business, but no such luck. Tap gets the sack down this time. Girardi to second. 2 outs for Eric Young. EY 0 for 1 with a walk.
Boy, this is one of those games we should have done from the bleachers.
Beautiful day.
It's perfect.
Wow. So those are the folks responsible for the traffic jams every day, huh?
They're the ones.
Well, we're glad they're here. 4-0 St. Louis. Cubs trying to get on the board, but a first pitch swing and a ground ball right to second. Eric Young 0 for 2. The Cubs strand their 4th, and we're through 5 already. Can you believe it? St. Louis has the big lead, 4-0. Here's J.D. Drew. That's our upcoming Cubs schedule, brought to you by the new Pepsi AC Chewables. 4-0 in favor of St. Louis. Hey, the Stencil family is at the ball game today. My wife Susan knows what Mrs. Stencil is going through. 3 kids, 1 set of arms. That's a little tough. 2 balls and a strike. And there's J.D. Drew's season average, an even 300. Tapani hasn't pitched all that badly. Made the mistake to Renteria. 4th run in that St. Louis 5th inning. Would have scored regardless of whether Buford had caught the ball cleanly or not in center field. Would have been a sac fly, hence the RBI given to Dunston. Cubs offense makes it awfully tough for the pitcher. Houston almost had it. Great effort by Jeff. It popped out of his glove, and then on the sweep behind his back, he very nearly came up with it anyway.
He went a long way to get this. Rondell White had no chance, and almost with the bare hand behind the back. Good look at it right here. Jeff Houston hustling for the foul ball, but not quite able to make the play.
So no play on Houston's attempt, and another swing for Drew, and it's popped out of play. Some folks at CubsNow.com have set up a message board for our colleague Steve Stone. Folks can go in and post their get well wishes to Stoney as Drew takes strike 3. That's 6 for Tapani on the day. You can also send those email wishes to Cubs TV at chicagosports.com. But to access the message board for Stoney, go to CubsNow.com. Go to message boards, then click on the Get Well Stoney section and leave your message. I know Dr. Download is computer active these days, so hopefully he'll be able to access them.
Maybe he'll spend some of that time becoming a little bit more computer literate.
By the time he comes back, he will have mastered not only the cell phone but the computer, and fully confident that'll be the case. Rolled foul by today's arch villain, Edgar Renteria. And it's always great to be at the ballpark this time of year. Lots of great quality family time as the kiddies are getting ready to head back to school.
It makes you hungry, doesn't it? Having a few nachos out in the stands. I was looking forward to just a little tiny piece of that banana cream pie that Gibson's had sent over.
Well, just head over to the floor of the radio booth.
Kathy Kerr. Talk about errors. That may be the biggest error of the day. She dropped it right on the floor.
Dropped the pie. She dropped the pie.
So if I want any of it, I guess I have to get it off Santos' shoes.
Forget the saddest possible words being tinkered ever's the chance. It's Kathy dropped the pie. Ground ball back to the mound. Tapani, a good play. He's got it. 2 men down.
Another look. Renteria didn't hit this one quite as hard as he hit the one earlier in the game. Tapani, good play, easy flip and an easy out. Well, you're right, Chip. Not much damage really against Tapani when you take away the one swing by Renteria. But he's in a big 4-0 hole.
Matheny hits a liner to third. Jeff grabs that one, and Tapani has a much needed 1-2-3 inning, his first since the third. Bottom of the 6th rolls around. Will the Cubs bats awaken? We'll find out next. Cubs with but 3 hits today against Darryl Kyle, who has been, yes, that tough today. He hasn't been overpowering. He's struck out 2. He's only walked 2, but he's allowed just 3 hits, 2 of them to Joe Girardi. And it's taken him 103 pitches for Kevin Tapani to get through 6 innings today. Here's Gutierrez leading it off, and Ricky takes a strike. Ricky is flied out and bounced out today. If you want to look at the biggest difference between the Cubs and Cardinals, obviously talk about the pitching, which speaks for itself, but look in the run column. The Cubs in 118 games have scored 576 runs. Cardinals in 119 games have scored 659 runs. Ricky is down on strikes for out number 1. A 90-odd run difference between these two teams. That is a whopping total. And the leadoff man down here in the 6th inning for the Cubs.
If they can't get Kyle out of there, Chip, they're not going to score very many more today. I mean, it's not just the breaking ball, it's the changing speeds and everything else that Kyle's got going for him today. And really nobody's had a beat on him except for Girardi.
been dropping that arm angle too. Kyle, who hasn't won in his last couple of starts, wants to end that string right now. That's the other great thing about a good starting rotation. Not only do they compete against the opposition, but they compete with each other. Yeah, Sosa pops it back out of play for a strike 2 call.
It's been a big part of Atlanta's success over the years, no question about it. Glavine and Maddox and Smoltz and now Millwood and all the guys they've had come through there. Boy, when one pitcher's doing what he does out there, a Maddox or a Glavine, it really picks everybody else up.
Bennis took the loss in game 1 of the series. Garrett Stevenson was magnificent yesterday. Darryl Kyle has the Cubs blanked so far today. Cubs trying to avoid being shut out for the 8th time this year. Cardinals have thrown 5 shutouts. One of them by Kyle. 3 o'clock hour in Chicago, and Sosa is down swinging. 2 up, 2 down. Well, when he gets that breaking ball over, he is mesmerizing.
For the 2nd time today, great breaking ball, and Sammy with no chance. Swing or take as you look at it from the Southwest camera. That's strike 3. And there's a look at the Southwest Airlines plain view camera high atop the facade here at Wrigley Field.
Grace hits a line drive into right field. 2-out single. Grace 6 for 11 now against the Cardinals and is 2 hits away from 6th place on the all-time Cub list. Rondell White to hit. Before he does, let's pause for station identification.
This is WGN, entertaining America.
Dan Roan, Chip Carey from the ballpark. It's 4-0 St. Louis. Rondell White has one of the 4 Cub hits on the day, and Kyle gets ahead with strike 1. Is this the best Cardinal team that Tony La Russa has managed in St. Louis? For it to be the best team he's ever managed, they're going to have to win the World Series. But remember, in Tony La Russa's first season with the Cardinals, they went to the National League Championship Series. They led 3-1 and couldn't seal the deal. Rondell White pops toward Vigna, who screams at Will Clark. He says he's got it, and he was a man of his word. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left, 6 innings complete. Give Darryl Kyle credit. He's winning 4-0. Darryl Kyle takes strike 1 as we head to the 7th inning. And that's over but low. And did you see what I saw in between our commercial breaks? Someone warming up out over Lake Michigan.
I thought we were under siege, even worse than we already are.
That's we've got the Redbirds and the Blue Angels. Big Chicago air show is coming up. We're going to miss it, but here they are. Well, I'll never forget a couple years ago, one of those guys buzzed the ballpark. Mark Grace almost had a heart attack. You remember that?
I sure do.
We never saw it coming. He came right out of the sun. Steve Traxel was on the mound, and Steve
thought he had whiplash.
Almost lost it. The 2-2 pitch. And that's strike 3 over the outside corner. Tampany strikes out his 7th man of the game. He's walked only 1, and he's unfortunately down 4 runs. Cub fans, Sunday, August 27th is your chance to receive a Chicago Cubs Milk Mustache growth chart. First 10,000 fans attending the Cubs-Dodgers game get a Cubs Milk Mustache growth chart compliments of the American Dairy Association. For tickets, call 312-831-Cubs. Lots of strikeouts for Kevin Tampany. He's pitched a real good ball game. It's tough to take when you give up 4 runs. You make only 1 mistake, really. That's been the case for him today. Vigna takes a quick strike. Fernando singled and was stranded back in the 5th. This was at the start of the weekend, most important homestand of the year for the Cubs. But give the Reds and the Cardinals credit so far. They've played better baseball, better all-around baseball. Eric Young should handle Vina. He does. And there are 2 men down. What makes it so frustrating for the Cubs too, Danny, is the fact that by and large on this homestand, the Cubs pitching was very, very good. With the exception of the rain performance where he gave up the 3 home runs in 1 inning. The Cubs have pitched well against Cincinnati and St. Louis, but offensively just struggled to even get 2 guys on in the same inning.
Well, they gave up 4 runs to Cincinnati in the game you mentioned with rain. They've given up 4 runs to the Cardinals twice in 3 of the other games so far. I mean, in this day and age, if you get an ERA of 4 out of your staff, I mean, you're doing handsprings. So, yeah, they pitched fine. They just can't get anything going. You know, the Cubs are at a position where they pretty much have to have everybody playing at an optimum level to have a chance to catch up to Cincinnati or even to St. Louis, and it's just not happening offensively.
And we had that streak when the Cubs were rolling. And now Dunston sends a high drive deep toward left. Can you believe it? Dunston has homered. He's driven home his 2nd run of the game. It's a 5-0 Cardinal lead. 32 home runs given up by Tapani.
Well, he had over 100 as a Cub in this ballpark. The Shawano-meter will have to be readjusted after Sean Dunston takes Kevin Tapani over the left field fence. Fastball moving in on Sean, and he had the head of the bat out on that well ahead of it. And high off the screen beyond the bleachers in left.
So St. Louis by 5. Kevin Tapani moves ahead of Brian Anderson of Arizona for 2nd in most home runs allowed in the National League. Lima's given up 38 for Houston. Tapani gives up his 32nd, and with 2 outs, Will Clark the batter. And don't forget Pat Foley's standing by. He'll guest conduct our 7th inning stretch here momentarily. 5-0. St. Louis has the lead. And there's a rocket hit in the left field for a base hit. White over quickly. Clark, another St. Louis hit. That's his 6th consecutive game with at least 1 base hit. And Tapani.
Answer that phone. Yeah, down in the bullpen. Oscar Acosta is called down, and
Tapani again had some patellar tendonitis. Drive him from his last start. That was the aforementioned rain game against Cincinnati. His pitch count approaching 120 now.
Tim Morrell down in the Cubs bullpen.
That one rifled down the right field line by Tatis. 1 ball, 1 strike. So Sean Dunston has had a very productive series for the Cardinals. Tatis drives that one down the right field line. Long run for Sammy, and the wind pushes that into the seats. And we'll do it again. Obviously, that is a very, very messed up friendship. Bitter enemies, arch rivals.
The fist fight starts about an inning and a half over there.
You've seen, well, if it's down by the Cardinal bullpen, let's not see any more fist fights in that part of the ballpark. Once was enough. And we'll see if the Dodgers have a sense of humor when they come back to Wrigley a week from this Friday. Doubleheader on the 25th.
Yeah, not only that, they have to play 2 first day in.
So Dodger penmen, you might want to duct tape the caps to your heads when you head down there. They may not be in a real good mood. The Dodgers are not playing very good baseball. A team that many thought would stay alive in the West now is 6.5 games out and has dropped 8 of 10. Runner goes, pitch low. Tatis is aboard with 2 out. Tatis walks for the second time in the game. Second for Kevin on the day. And Eric Davis will bat. He's 0 for 3. Don Baylor would love to get Tapani through this 7th inning if he can. Pitcher spot for the Cubs is due up 4th in the 7th inning.
That's it.
That's going to be it. 120 pitches or so for Tapani, and 6 2/3 innings on the day. So Kevin's given up 5. The 2 men on belonged to him in the 7th. He walked only 2, struck out 7. The Cardinals wrapped him for 7 hits, and Tapani will depart in the top half of the 7th inning. Job well done for Kevin, but offense again the problem today for the Cubs. 5-0 our score. Tim Worrell will face Eric Davis, we presume, when we come right back. Well, speaking of a Blue Angel, there's one in that Cubs cap. Look at that beautiful little girl at the ballpark today. 5-0 in favor of St. Louis. Cardinals have 2 on with 2 out. And Tim Worrell pitching for the first time for the Cubs today.
Tim Worrell 2 and 3. You saw the numbers there. 39 1/3, 33 hits allowed, and 37 strikeouts on top of only 13 walks. So Eric Davis, a chance to try and do some more damage for the Cardinals here. Tim Worrell trying to keep it respectable.
So Worrell ready to go, and the first pitch is way outside to Eric Davis for ball 1. Looking for his first hit against Worrell. Way outside, ball 2. 2-0 is your count. The pitch, ripped foul back. I hate to say this. Pat Foley's going to be our guest conductor for the 7th inning stretch, and we're scoring about as often as the Blackhawks do. What do you say, partner?
Well, the Cardinals have a heck of a forecheck going, don't they?
They do. Got 3 or 4 guys in the penalty box.
That's the way the Russa manages, you know.
2-2. You ready to sing?
Oh, I'm ready. Yeah.
You have a great voice. You've already done this a couple of times.
Well, and I think that as all great opera singers do, beer and hot dogs is the way to get ready.
Absolutely. Well, for a lot of things, believe me.
Just look at Pavarotti.
That's right. It's a good point. 2-2, and down he goes. We're going to have you change headsets, another microphone, and here comes the voice of the Blackhawks, Pat Foley, for our 7th inning. Damon Buford digs in the bottom half of the 7th inning after that stirring rendition of Take Me Out to the Ballgame. There is no doubt in my mind, Pat Foley, that the Cubs are going to pick up a couple of runs here.
Well, I hope so. I hope we shook them up a little bit. Let's get something going here.
How have you been?
Terrific, Chip, and congratulations. I hear you got a new deal all set. Good for you.
Excited about that. Great to be here, and hopefully we'll have some fun here the next couple of seasons. Hopefully start winning some ball games, and I know you're looking forward to another season with the Hawks.
You carry him in the summertime. I'll try to carry him in the wintertime.
We're all in favor of that.
You both have your work cut out for you.
Mr. Doom. Thanks, Danny.
I beg your pardon. I forgot to introduce Mr. Optimism to our booth, Dan Roan, who's filling in for. When do the guys start to lace him up?
September will be training camp, and the first week of October we'll start the regular season. Only 82 games.
Amazing. Amazing. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Damon Buford, who's 0 for 2 today. And a ground ball hit to second base. Easy play. 1 up and 1 man down. New expansion teams In the National Hockey League, the Minnesota Wild, the Columbus Blue Jackets. I guess that's kind of an exciting change after all those years of heading north of the border and seeing all the same people in the same places.
Well,
2 new teams.
2 new teams, 30 teams in the league next year, Chip. So it'll be interesting to see how they go about their business. It'd be interesting to see how the Hawks shape up under a whole new management team here now too.
Joe Girardi lines that toward left field. A base hit for Girardi. He's a perfect 3 for 3 today. Joe's got 3 of our 5 hits. Is hockey, Pat, going through the same kind of growth, a growing pain that baseball has gone through, that football and basketball have gone through? That is such a dilution of talent now. Are you noticing that at the NHL level?
There is no question about it, Chip. You know, as we say, 2 new teams, 30 teams in the league, and as recently as maybe 8 or 10 years ago, there were only 21, 24 teams. So you've added all those jobs. There is an influx of Europeans who have come over here and helped to fill some of those spots. But I don't think there's any doubt that you're seeing more kids rushed into the NHL maybe before they should be, and you know, guys who are in the NHL who maybe a few years ago wouldn't have been.
How are the Hawks going to be?
Well, we hope better. It's going to be interesting because there's a new coaching staff on board. In terms of personnel, they haven't done a whole lot in the offseason, a few minor moves here and there, but I think you're going to see a couple of young kids get long looks in training camp.
1 ball, no strikes to Jeff Houston. A man on, 1 man out, and a rocket shot at the middle for a base hit.
Thank you, Pat Foley.
Jeff Houston with an RBI. That'll score Girardi, and the Cubs are on the board 5-1.
Shake him up.
Where have you been all day? Finally, this place makes some noise. Jeff with his 8th run batted in of the season. The Cardinal bullpen starts to stir a little bit as some of their pitchers head down the right field line.
Houston hit it hard right back up the middle, and Girardi got a nice jump after he saw it go through. No problem there for Joe. So the bottom of the order has done most of the damage for the Cubs this afternoon. Now Gary Matthews Jr. tries to keep it going here.
He'll bat for Worrell, who retired the only man he faced. 5-1 game. 1 on, 1 in, 1 out in the 7th inning.
And before we get too far, Chip, I have to send my greetings, as you have, I'm sure, to our friend Steve Stone. I hope he's feeling better, and he was really terrific when I had a wonderful chance to fill in for you.
High fly ball, left center field. Dunston is over, and Sean makes the play. Yeah, thank you very much for doing that. I know it's kind of tough duty. I know you did a better job doing baseball than I would do doing hockey in your absence. Believe me. My dad used to tell me, he said he used to fill in for Jiggs McDonald. You remember Jiggs when he was doing the old Atlanta Flames games. Dad didn't know the players, couldn't pronounce the names, so he just made up Yvonne. Everybody was Yvonne Cornway and Guy Lafleur.
Well, it still works now.
Yeah, so every now and then you got to fall back.
Well, your grandfather, every time I saw him, hey, Foley, the hockey guy. You know, hockey is the first sport I ever did. I would have liked to have heard Harry do some hockey. That would have been great.
He probably had as much fun doing that as he did this. Pat, it's always great to see you.
Great to see you guys.
Best of luck. Training camp starts in a couple weeks.
Can't wait for it, and congratulations again,
Thank
Chip.
you.
Good, you're going to be locked up for a while.
Look forward to seeing you, and good luck to the Hawks.
Okay, see you guys.
Pat Foley, it's a 5-1 Cardinal lead. Boy, what a great guy, Pat Foley.
He's terrific.
Best of luck to him in the Blackhawks this year, and best of luck to Steve Rain, who comes on in the 8th inning. Remember what happened in the 8th in game 1 of the homestand. Hopefully Steve will recover nicely and take care of the Cardinals here. The Cubs finally scratch across a run. That came in the bottom half of the 7th. We're in the 8th now, and Drew, Renteria, and Matheny will bat. Steve pitched 2 innings yesterday and gave up only 1 infield hit to the Cardinals. So Rain rallied nicely once. Let's see if he can rally nicely again here. Dan Roan, Chip Carey in the 8th inning. A quick strike. Very good email from a young man watching the game. I think it's a young man. Clayton Christopherson from Salt Lake City wants to know when Captain Harris plans to take the little Arnie up to Milwaukee to go fishing with Bob Uecker. That's a good question. We'll have to trying to arrange that out of play for strike 2. You know, Uke goes out just about every day on Lake Michigan. I think his boat is called Big Uke.
Of course it is.
The 0-2. 0-3. Down on strikes goes J.D. Drew. So 1 up, 1 down, and here's one of the villains for the Cardinals today, Edgar Renteria, in the second inning. A long 3-run homer, and that was a no down.
It sure was, Chip, and with the wind blowing in too. Rondell White gave it all he could, but just into the front row. And here's where J.D. Drew and Renteria got tangled up there, and the Cubs thought that perhaps there was a runner past there and it should have been an out, but it didn't work out that way. And Renteria right back at him again with a base hit to right.
2 for 4 is the Cardinals shortstop today. So Rain surrenders his first base hit of the afternoon, and Mike Matheny stands in. Matheny is 10 for 18 against Cub pitching. That's a .555 batting average. As you see his season numbers, 4 homers and 28 driven in. He had a 3-hit game yesterday. And what's even more impressive about Matheny is what he has done behind the plate. He's thrown out 30 of 60 would-be base stealers. Well, he's been an outstanding find for the Cardinals, one of many made by Walt Jocketty, who probably should and will win National League Executive of the Year. He's done an amazing job in not only building this Cardinal team at the start of the season, but changing on the fly, to borrow a Pat Foley hockey phrase, after McGuire went down and Marrero went down. You got Timlin from the Orioles. You got Clark from the Orioles. You got Hernandez from San Diego. Fernando Vina, of course, the start of the season from Milwaukee. Jim Edmonds from Anaheim for Kent Bottenfield and Adam Kennedy. And then Kyle, Henkin, Fears as well. Rain had the man picked off and never threw the ball to first. Amazing.
I don't think he ever looked at first base.
He was 5 steps off the bag. All Rain had to do was step off and throw over, and he had Renteria picked off. Right there.
There he goes. Never looked at first base.
So 17 steals for Renteria now, and a hit could cost the Cubs. 2-1 to Matheny. Rolled to the left side. Houston looks him back to second. Throw to first in time. 2 outs for the Cardinals. And Darryl Kyle will bat for the 4th time. That would have been a double play ball had Renteria gotten back to first somehow. But no harm done so far as Kyle hits. He's 0 for 2. Cubs still have a chance, but down 4, 5-1, with the 2, 3, 4 hitters due up next in the bottom half of this 8th inning. And Felix Heredia is up. Joe Girardi out. Might have been crossed up. Maybe a new set of signs with a runner out at second base. That kid needs a guitar, not the drums, man.
Post-game concert here at Wrigley Field.
Nothing quite like Dan trying to shift on that fretboard from a D to an F minor chord. Boy, you got to have major dexterity to do that.
You draw blood when you do that?
No, but I feel like I have arthritis when I try to do it. Swing and a miss by Darryl Kyle. Cubs traveling secretary Jimmy Bank and I carry guitars on the road. Most of the time Arnie Harris carries mine. 1-1. It's downstairs 2-1.
He's got a little place in the cargo hold of the boat for that guitar.
Oh, there's no doubt. Arnie? Absolutely. He's got a place.
Now on trips, Chip, where they don't allow you to take golf clubs, do they still allow you to take the guitar?
Oh yeah.
So you're exempted from that.
Absolutely. Popped up. Yeah, and out of play.
That's because the traveling secretary doesn't play golf, he plays guitar.
Well, you don't want to carry too many of those awkwardly shaped bags on the airplane, especially on those western trips. That's why Pete Toma has so much trouble getting on the plane. The 2-2 all the way to the backstop. That's a wild pitch.
Well, that one wasn't close. Rain trying to come in a little bit, had a shoot inside. Girardi never even got a mitt on it. Kyle able to get out of the way, but the runner to third base now. And Steve Rain just trying to get out his counterpart from the other side and get out of here.
He just walked the pitcher.
Crowd not happy about it. Neither is Don Baylor, who is on his way to the mound. And the next pitch here will be thrown by Felix Heredia.
Rain goes 2/3. 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, 1 wild pitch. And Felix Heredia comes out of the Cub pen. Don looking for someone to be consistent out of that pen in the final 6 weeks. Hasn't happened of late. We'll be back in a moment.
Well, when I got hurt and missed work, glad I had supplemental insurance.
Supplemental insurance? What's that?
Aflac.
Well, even best insurance doesn't give you cash to cover things like lost pay, other expenses. This does.
What does?
Aflac.
Shouldn't ask about it at work.
Really? And what's it called?
Aflac.
Aflac. Without it, no insurance is complete.
Aflac.
Beautiful day for baseball. Dan Roan, Chip Carey at beautiful Wrigley Field. And Felix Heredia on to face Fernando Vina. Hit means a run for the Cardinals, who already are ahead by 4. And a ground ball right to Grace. 1 pitch by Heredia closes the door in the 8th. Rain off the hook, did not allow a run. Now it's time for the Cubs to get something going. The 2, 3, and 4 hitters are coming up, and the Cardinals lead is 5-1. Well, let's get some runs now. Bottom of the 8th inning. Tired of goofing around with these Cardinals. 5-1 is our score. And this upcoming Friday, August 25th, your shot to take home a Cubs sports towel. The first 10,000 fans arriving at Wrigley for Game 1 of our double dip against the Dodgers will take home a Cubs sports towel from our friends at Gatorade. Gates open at 11:35, so come on out early. It's the Cubs sports towel day, Friday, August 25th. A double dip versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. And Ricky Gutierrez takes strike 1 from Darryl Kyle, who has pitched another gem. And that breaking ball has just been unhittable all day long.
He starts Ricky off with 2 straight, Chip, and never even thought about taking the bat off his shoulder.
Cardinals have out hit us 8-6. They've outscored us 5-1, and Renteria will handle cleanly. And there's one away. Ricky is 0 for 4, and here's Sosa. Sammy 0 for 4. He struck out a couple of times. He's hit 374 lifetime home runs. That breaking ball missed. 4-1. Braves got some bad news today. The good news for them, they beat the Padres 4-1, but Kevin Millwood left the game with a strained left patella tendon. He's not expected to miss his next start, however. Sammy hits a high fly ball, pretty deep center field, but it's playable for J.D. Drew. And Sosa gave it a ride, but flies out. He's 0 for 4. He had a good cut at that pitch. And there's 2 down in the Cub 8th. So Barring a big rally by the Cubs, Sosa will be stuck at 38 when we resume play on Friday against Arizona. Here's Grace. 1 for 3. Our special thanks go out today to our senior producer director Arnie Harris. Cubs baseball produced by Pete Toma. Mark Brady, our associate producer. Our executive producer of WGN Sports, Bob Borwald. Thanks as well go out to Dan Roan, pinch hitting today for Stoney. Danny, I've enjoyed spending the day with you.
Pleasure to be here, Chip. It's always nice, win or lose, to come out to the ballpark on a day like this and hang out with you guys. Wish I could have gotten you a couple more runs. You know, maybe we should have let Pat hang in here with us.
He did fine.
He got a one run anyway.
Yeah, so got an email from a couple of fans today asking what that C is on the sleeve of Mark Grace. High fly hit toward left. Dunston will make the play. That stands for captain. Grace is a captain. Kevin Tapani is a captain. Sammy Sosa is a captain. And Rick Aguilera is a captain.
And Arnie is a captain.
Arnie is a captain of Little Arnie. That's right. Forgot about that. 3 up, 3 down as we've played 8. It's the Cardinals 5 and the Cubs 1. Here's Sean Dunston. A big day today. A home run, a run scored, 2 RBIs, and he'll bat first in the 9th inning against Felix Heredia. The bullpen is busy just in case. Might need Rick Aguilera to get into a ball game just for a tune-up. Rick hasn't had a chance to pitch much, if at all, on this homestand. We'll need him sharp, we hope, on the road in Arizona and in Houston coming up. And Dunston hits a high hopper. Houston makes a good play. 1 down.
Another pretty solid afternoon, Chip, for Jeff Houston down at third base.
Well, all Don Baylor has asked is, first of all, make all the plays defensively. And Willie Green, Jose Nieves, Jeff Houston, Shane Andrews when he was healthy, all have played pretty well defensively down there. But you're not going to win any games consistently when you don't put the ball in play at third base. And that has been a glaring problem for this team this year. Again, we said earlier in the telecast, the Cubs are hoping Shane Andrews could be back sometime next week. That would be nice to have his power potential for the final few weeks of the season. But again, you've got to remember he's coming back from back surgery, and it's not going to be easy for him to jump back into the swing of things. Meanwhile, Jeff Houston's been given a chance to play, and he's made the most of it. He's on base twice today, drove in the lone run. And as you just saw, he's played as Sterling, third base. Finals in 3 other ballparks today. Atlanta beat the Padres, we told you, 4-1. Arizona beat the Phillies 5-1. And Toronto beat Anaheim 8-6. Here it's 5-1 in favor of St. Louis in the 9th inning. Cardinals 1 inning away from taking 2 of 3 and sending the Cubs 11.5 games out of first. Blew that past Clark. It's 2-2. Up and in, ball 3. 3-2 to Will Clark. Tatis waiting on deck. High pop left side. White on the run near the Cub mound in that bullpen, and Rondell runs out of room, came up a little awkwardly near that wall, and he jogs away apparently unhurt. Can't afford to lose him.
Had that conversation with Don Baylor this morning about Rondell wanting to go 100% when his body's probably about 85 or so. And you got a pretty good indication of it right there. He tried to run through a brick wall after that pop fly.
Well, you like to see football players try to run through brick walls, not baseball players. But if he stays healthy, Rondell is going to fit in just fine here in Chicago next year, and the rest of this one for that matter. 3-2 to Clark. Popped him up left side. White in, Ricky out. Rondell battling the wind, which pushes it back toward the infield. Clark retired. He's 1 for 5. So here is Tatis. Tatis has been on base 4 times today. Hit by a pitch and scored in the 2nd. Singled in the 4th. Walked in the 5th and 7th this afternoon. Rolled foul. Past third. One strike pitch backs him up. 1-1 is the count. Cardinals have hit their first home run and their second home run of the last 2 series. Milwaukee kept the Cardinals in the ballpark. Today, Edgar Renteria and Sean Dunston went deep. Now, a lot of Redbird fans are going to head back down I-55 awfully happy. And that's never a good sign.
No.
If you're a Cub fan.
No.
We'll get him back. A high fly hit to straightaway center. Buford handles that. There's an awful lot of construction, so at least it'll be a long trip home for him.
He'll deserve every terrible mile of it.
We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Cubs need 4 to tie. It's St. Louis 5, Cubs 1.
So what'd they take?
2 sets of footprints. Let's get after him. Tracks just in. That's gotta be them.
Oh, Mama, that was way too close.
5-1 is our score. We head to the bottom of the 9th inning. Craig Paquette is in. He'll play third base for Tatis, whose day is done. And Rondell White will go to work against Darryl Kyle. Kyle has completed 2 games this year. And today, Dan, he's been outstanding.
Well, he's had a curveball that nobody's been able to get any kind of a good swing at. Only 6 hits for the Cubs. Girardi has 3 of those. In the middle of the order, Sosa, Grace, and Rondell White have a combined 2 hits, both singles. He's just done a terrific job.
Oh, 2 to White. It's outside, 1-2. A high fly ball hit to straightaway left. Sean Dunston sets up, and there's out number 1. Here's Damon Buford. Damon has yet to get the ball out of the infield. He's 1 for 9 in the series, 0 for 3 today. Big breaking ball by Kyle has just been wonderful. That one beat into the turf. Paquette makes the play, and the Cardinals 1 out away from the series win. And Kyle finishing very, very strong. He's retired 7 straight. He's allowed only 6 hits, and we might need a new rally cap. But here's the man to keep it alive. Joe Girardi is 3 for 3. In fact, Joe has half of our hits.
Kyle's amazing. You know, he hasn't thrown a fastball this inning, Chip. All breaking ball. There's the first one, and Girardi hit it pretty hard again.
Drew on the run, and flashing in front, Eric Davis. He makes the putout, and the Cardinals beat the Cubs 5-1. A complete game victory for Darryl Kyle. He moves into second place all by himself among the National League wins leaders with his 14th. Kevin Tapani the loss, and the Cardinals take 2 of 3. Final score 5-1 St. Louis. Back with more after this. Here's your final score. The Cardinals beat the Cubs 5-1. They take 2 of 3, and most important homestand of the year for the Cubs was a real stinker. We finish at 1-5 against the top 2 teams in our division. Our Budweiser play of the game in the second inning, Edgar Renteria hits a 3-run homer off Kevin Tapani, the first of 2 that the Cardinals hit today. Thought for a moment Renteria might have passed J.D. Drew, but that wasn't the case. He just ran into him. Baylor argued, but got no satisfaction, nor did we from the homestand. 5-1 the final. Cubs finish 1-5 on the homestand. Darryl Kyle, a complete game, his 14th win of the year. He's second to Randy Johnson and Tom Glavine among National League winners. Kevin Tapani suffers the loss. He's 8-9, and Renteria and Dunston both hit.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN has been brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. By Pepsi, the joy of cola. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And by Southwest Airlines. Log on for Southwest Airlines low fares at www.southwest.com, a symbol of e-freedom.